Hey, this is Natalie with the Fifth Journey. We are going to be doing a rather large project today. And I have a big pot out because my bowls weren't quite big enough. We're going to be doing a 10-pound batch of soap. And I'm going to be doing all natural soaps using only essential oils. So my goal here is to get a solid line of probably about 10 to 15 fragrances, fragrance essential oil combinations that I do like. I do have a handful that I will be using. But for the last 2 years or so, I've been just writing down different combinations that people like or that sound good, and I actually had about 130 written down. So then I went through my list, because obviously I'm not going to do that many samples. So I went through my list and I researched some of the oils and scratched off all of the ones that were known skin irritants or cause the most issues with the most people. You need to make sure that you do the research anytime using essential oils, because essential oils are very, very strong, and you want to make sure that you're using the proper amounts and the proper combinations, and also knowing which ones are skin safe, which ones are not, and all of that. So I made sure to do my research, and so that dropped my list from 136, I think it was, down to about 50. So that knocked off a lot of them. And then I went through and researched the price points, because some essential oils are very, very expensive, and it simply isn't cost effective to be making soap out of them. So I ended up with about 30 combinations, and then I narrowed it down some more. So I wanted to sell at 20. So long story short, I ended up with 20 combinations, and this is the list that I made. And as you can see, I have all of combinations. Then I knocked it down to small batches and did the ounces, and I did it into milliliters, since these are small batches. And then I'm using 12 essential oils total. So I have cedarwood, clove, eucalyptus, lavender, lemongrass, litsea, orange valencia, peppermint, rosemary, Siberian fir or fir needle, spearmint, and tea tree. The orange valencia is very inexpensive, and I'm using that in place of an orange. I'm also going to be using a little kaolin clay in my lye solution. It's it's cooling right now, and that will hopefully help hold the scent in. So went ahead and separated that out, got everything all sorted. I have all of my molds ready to go. You see I have numbers. So what I did is I have a bunch of mason jars. I actually have 20 mason jars that I have labeled, and I already pre-mixed all of the essential oils. I've been working on it for a couple hours, getting everything all set up. I've got the room all opened up, so there's lots of ventilation in here. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm hoping this is not going to set up too fast, so I'll have enough time, because I'm going to have to measure out each jar. I'm going to do 8 ounces of soap, so half a pound of soap. So I'll get 2 bars out of that. So you can see here I have the 2, 2, 2. And I have them all set up in trays. Everything is all covered, and I hope I did not forget anything. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to bring this to a thin trace, very, very thin trace, just past emulsification, and then we'll go from there. So what I'm going to do after I make this soap is I'm going to have friends and family smell them and see which combinations they prefer, and then I'll be able to pick out which ones I want to continue to mix. So we are at emulsification, a thin trace, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm actually going to move my pot over, grab my scale, and let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with number 1. We'll do 8 ounces in each one, like I said. Let's see if I can do this without making an awful mess everywhere. You can see I'm drooping already. And I went over just a hair. Set that aside. And I'm going to give it a stir. Looking really good. So just to show you what happens when you add the essential oils, this is the first one I did. And as you can see, those are already getting set up, where these are still pre-fluid. So you definitely want to make sure that you're prepared. And I did go ahead and use slower moving oils than my normal recipe. I had some sunflower oil, and I also had some sweet almond oil that I needed to use up. So I did use a softer soap because, like I said, I needed more time. This took me about an hour. I know I'm going to fast forward through a bunch, but it actually took me about an hour to get the soap made, and just from recording time. So this has nothing to do with prep time. I've actually been working on this for the last 5 hours, and it took me an hour just to go from emulsification and then get them all mixed in each one of those. So this was definitely time consuming, but I'm glad I'm done with it.
Hi, it's the next morning and we're not quite 24 hours in because I was doing this last night, but I wanted to do a quick video to show you some of the discoloration already started on some of these. So you can tell, like on this one right here, it's a little bit more beige, and then same thing with this one right here. And these look, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but these three look a little bit different as well. And something else interesting, I did not cover these because I was more interested in the fragrance than going through gel phase or anything like that. But two of them do have soda ash. So it's this one and it's this one. The only two oils that are common essential oils with these two is clove. So I did put clove leaf. These are the only two bars that have it in it, and those are the only two batches that do have soda ash. So I'm going to unmold these later on today, like I said, and I'm going to put them on the racks to cure, and then we'll come back later.